Morning everybody, great to see you all again. So today, just get down from here, I am in the Peak District and talking about quite an exciting camera. So landscape photography is all about going out in the outdoors and capturing the beauty of the landscape. And hopefully one time you go out and you get that perfect shot. But it's about getting it as high quality as you can. And uncompromising quality is so important in landscape photography. Or is it? Is it that important? Do you need the most megapixels? Do you need the best ever camera, the best dynamic range? Well, today I've got the Fuji 50R and I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts because I've had it for 2 weeks now and it's a really interesting camera. So I'm going to try it out, talk a little bit about the ergonomics of it and show you some images that I've captured on it. And I've got a great sunrise to start with. Okay, let's go and find a composition. So I found this composition here and I've got my GFX 50R on my tripod here and I'm shooting this sort of limestone outcrop here, and then I've got these hills in the background, some nice cloud formations and the sun just off to the left. Now unfortunately there was a tiny gap of light which I think I got a shot in, but it's not perfect conditions. Now one of the things I want to speak about with the 50R is the controls. So anybody that has got a Fuji system, and I use a Fuji X-T3, before that I had a Fuji X-T2, and then before that a Fuji X100. It's very similar. But one of the things that I would say is that they seem to have reduced the number of controls on it. And now that you've got a lot of things that you can set up, there's lots of buttons that you can customize. But I don't quite understand why they've just not left the ISO control on the top somewhere. I think that would have been good. I use that quite a lot. And they've also got rid of the little pad. So you just have to use the little nipple to change control of the focus. Or, as you know, you can just use touchscreen. And okay, I can get over those things, but it just doesn't feel quite as ergonomically nice in the hand as the X-T3 does. And because it's big as well, I feel like they could have got more controls on it. Now, obviously they're trying to cut down cost, I understand that, but to me, I feel like they've compromised something there, which is quite important, because I think the ergonomics and the feel of the camera, to me, are important. But when you get over that and you start taking photos, then it's fairly simple. So I'm going to take this shot here. I've got it on f/22. Now, what you've got to remember is that with a medium format camera, you've got a wider field of view on your sensor. So you've got to multiply the focal length by 0.8, and then obviously for that wider field of view, you're getting less depth of field because you're getting a wider field of view than you would do on a crop sensor or on a full frame. So I've got it set on f/22. It goes up to f/32, but f/22 should get everything in focus from around about 1.5 meters through to infinity. So I'm going to take this shot and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other features on the GFX 50R. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is how you use this camera. So my hope when I got the camera was that because it was a little bit smaller than the 50S and other medium formats that I've looked at before, like the Hasselblad, I'd be able to handhold it and handhold it in lots of different situations, maybe when it's windy, because I do take a lot of landscapes. I think there was 3 in my recent calendar that I produced that were all handheld. So being able to just grab it and take a shot, sometimes in landscape photography, is important. Now, most of the time, you're deliberately setting things up, you're slowing down a little bit, and you're just taking those great landscape shots, and it's, you know, everything just works well, you're not in a rush. But a lot of the time, you've not got time to set your tripod up, and you just need to grab that shot. So you want to be able to get something sharp. And if you're going to take advantage of the 50 odd megapixels in here and the amazing image quality of those pixels, then you've got to be able to get as good a shot handheld as you have on your tripod. Otherwise, there's no point having a medium format camera. So I've tried it handheld, and I've had some success and a lot of failures. I've really struggled with it, and I'm going to hopefully demonstrate this a little bit now. So I'll take a few shots handheld with this, and then I'll take some handheld with my Z7. Now, I know it's not fair because, one, this is a smaller camera, so it's lighter, but you know, that's the whole point, I suppose. And these are two cameras that you might look at getting together because they're similarly priced. Okay, this is more expensive, the lenses are a lot more expensive, but if you're going to spend that sort of money, then you might just jump up to this sort of money. And you know, the similar megapixels, without doubt, the quality of the megapixels are better on this, the dynamic range is better, you can tell that when you look at the images. But I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail when I get back in the studio. And this has got inbuilt stabilization, and you know, if I can get it in a camera, why not have it? So let's take a few handheld with this and a few handheld with this, and just see what we can get away with in terms of shutter speed. So I'm going to start with just taking it 1 over the focal length. So obviously with the medium format, I'll get something a little bit quicker because we've got that 0.8 crop factor. So I'll take a few 1 over the focal length. So we'll start with a 50mm on here, and I'll take a picture of the camera videoing me. So here we go. One of the things that I really do like about this camera is the rangefinder electronic viewfinder here. It is just so nice to put your eye to the left hand side of the camera. It just fits really nice. I just really enjoy using it. So, you know, when you can use it handhold, when you've got a faster shutter speed or you're up in the ISO to improve that shutter speed, it is lovely to use handheld, really, really is. So, I'm a bit sad, the Fuji GFX 50R has now gone back to Fuji, and wow, what a camera. I mean, it is literally the best quality camera that I've ever used. There's no doubt about that. And I want to talk a little bit about that image quality in a little bit more detail before I go on and talk about some of the downsides of the camera as well. So there's 3 reasons why I think the image quality is, you know, really, really nice. The first is just edge-to-edge sharpness. So I've printed this out here, this print, which is just an A2 print. Now I actually have also printed a 50-inch printout as well, and it's quite incredible, that image, just going right up to the edges and seeing how good it is. But you can see on this image here that right up to the edges it's sharp, and that's down to the lenses really. Well, it is down to the lenses. And the lenses are just amazing. I was using the 23mm lens most of the time, just the fixed focal length lens, the prime lens, and it was really incredible. Yeah, so the edge-to-edge sharpness is just incredible. The other thing is just the tonal quality. So just the tonal quality of things like rocks. I shoot a lot of rocks in the foregrounds, and just how it deals with the tonality of sky and the transition of that tonality throughout the sky, I thought was really, really good. So if you just look at this image here, this was pre-sunrise on a video that I did for my channel. I was taking this same scene because I really wanted to print it big, with 3 cameras, the X-T3, the Z7 and the 50R. And the one thing on the 50R that really stood out is just the tonality of the rock detail. It was just really, really lovely detail. And you can see if we just look at that rock and zoom in on it a little bit, it just looks amazing. The sky is just amazing as well. I really liked it. So yeah, that was the second thing. And the third thing is just pulling detail out of shadows, and that is incredible. Again, this is another shot that I took on the same lovely morning here. And if you just look at the detail that I can pull out of the shadow, you can see from the histogram that, you know, I'm pushing massively the dynamic range of the camera. But the detail with low noise that I can pull out of that shadow is really, really good. And I've been able to make from this shot that just looks poor out of camera, this really well exposed and, you know, balanced shot. I've cropped in a little bit, and there really is very, very little noise. It's really incredible. They're the three things that shone out about the 50R. But there are a few things I think that stopped me buying it, and the main one is price. You know, it's an expensive camera still. I know it's the cheapest medium format, and I know it is really good value for money. And if you just look at the body, then the body's not too much more expensive than something like the Z7 or the Sony. But then when you start buying the lenses, then it gets super expensive. The lenses are very, very expensive. And that, you know, I'm talking about how good the quality is, but when I started to compare it with my Z7, okay, I don't think my lenses that I've got on my Z7 quite compare with the lenses on the GFX. They just definitely don't. There's softer edges, but I can get away with that a little bit, I think. I don't think it really matters for most of my images. You know, your eyes tends to be focused into the middle, and, you know, we're talking, you know, a subtle difference. So the cost for that tiny step change that you get in quality, and it is only a small change in quality, for me wasn't justifiable. And then the other thing, and this is a really big thing, is just the bulk of the camera. You know, it is significantly bigger than the Fuji and the Nikon. The lenses are significantly bigger. You know, and it's not just the weight, it's just the bulk it takes in the bag. And this is for me, and I know this won't be for everybody. If you just want uncompromised quality, then definitely the 50R, and you have, you know, unlimited money to spend, then the 50R is definitely the camera that you get as a landscape photographer. But when you want to do something like I do, which is a videographer, I want to go and take photographs, then I want something that's more versatile. I want to be able to use video on my camera if I only take my camera, like my Nikon Z7. And I quite often want to take 2 or 3 bodies. And if I just had the GFX 50R in, I just wouldn't be able to fit everything in my bag and carry it up mountains. So from that point of view, it doesn't work. In an ideal world, I'd have that camera as well and take it when I can use it, but obviously cost is an issue. But that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the review. So to summarise, I think it's amazing image quality. It's really, when you get used to it and you get over the differences in using the X-T3 to this camera, it is a joy to use. I really like the rangefinder on the left-hand side, but it's bulky and it's still expensive. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, and bye.